Hey friends, let's tap in for a pick a deck reading. So you see I've got 4 different tarot decks here on the table and 4 different charms. So we'll go through each charm. I encourage you to take a deep breath, tap in with your intuition, and see which deck and charm you are feeling called to. All right. So for deck number 1, the first charm we have is this little blue crown. All right. For deck number 2, the second charm is the owl. For deck number 3, the third charm is this little t-shirt with a heart on it. And for deck number 4, the charm is this little black 4-leaf clover. All right. So go ahead, drop in the comments which deck and charm you chose. Check out the description box for the timestamp so you can jump right into your reading. So let's go ahead and begin. All right, for those of you that chose deck number 1 with the crown charm here, we're going to be getting into some messages for Venus retrograde, which started on March the 1st. So we're going to see what's going on here for this upcoming transit. For those of you that chose the first deck, I'm going to be using the Mahogany Tarot, just in case you're wondering. And yeah, we're just going to dive right into it. So let me actually, I'm missing something here. There we are. Just want to make sure my deck is cleansed. All right, Spirit, tap me in for deck number 1. Their messages for this Venus retrograde transit. Keep in mind, Venus will be retrograde starting off in Aries, but then we'll transition into Pisces here. Let me get the exact dates. I can pull that up. So the retrograde started in Aries on March 1st, and it will transition into Pisces on March 27th. And Venus will go direct on April the 12th. So just to give you a little timeline that we're working with here. So let me lay out these cards. We had a few pop out. I do need to get a couple more before we really dive into your message here. But interesting cards that we have on the table so far for those of you that chose deck number 1, the Mahogany Tarot, the blue crown here. Okay, cool. So get the rest of the cards. All right, so let's dive into your spread. Starting off with the current relationship dynamics you're experiencing, we have the 3 of Cups. So this is actually a very harmonious card or energy when it comes to relationships, especially your social life. So keep in mind, Venus is representative of all kinds of relationships, not just romantic connections. So this can be relationships with friends, family, co-workers, you know, all of the things. So right now we do have a really harmonious energy that you're in with the 3 of Cups. There could be lots of celebrations, socializing that's going on for you during this Venus retrograde transit. You know, you might be getting some invitations to go out, hang out with the girls, the guys, you know, whoever. But this is a really friendly dynamic that you seem to be navigating here as well. Okay, so we love to see just the high vibes that come along with the 3 of Cups. You might be celebrating some sort of accomplishments here as well, because I'm getting the element of a toast involved. So I don't know if you're making a toast or someone around you, they could be celebrating something and you all are toasting to, you know, this recent win that somebody is experiencing here. So overall, there's just a sense of togetherness and, everybody just kind of getting along here. So I love to see this for your Venus retrograde. So let's tap into some of these lessons from the past. So we do have the Fool representing lessons from the past. So, in the recent past, you may have taken some risks in a new direction. So, this could be regarding your social life. Maybe you've been putting yourself out there a little bit more. If you have been kind of in this hermit mode or isolating, just kind of doing your own thing, there now seems to be an energy where you're like, look, it's time for me to get out there. It's time for me to connect with other people. I'm kind of tired of being inside. And, with the season that we're in, we're wrapping up winter. So maybe you've just been hibernating during this winter phase. And now you're feeling like, okay, spring is around the corner. I want to turn over a new leaf. I want to get back outside here. So this is definitely something that you're learning here. Now, as this applies to your relationships, you may also have learned from the past, maybe how to not take foolish risks when it comes to relationships, to maybe be a little bit more discerning, to maybe take your time in getting to know people. Sometimes the Fool can be a little too open. Which isn't necessarily a bad thing when you're in the safety of the right people. But sometimes when the Fool is not really aware of their surroundings and the people that they're engaging with, they can kind of overshare and, become a little too open to people that they might not even really know like that. So there could be an element of you really learning how to vet people more properly and not just saying yes to every invitation, every opportunity, everybody that wants to befriend you. It's like, no, let me maybe think on that a little bit instead of making like a super impulsive decision. So this could be a lesson that you've also learned from the past here as well. But ultimately, you are still in a space of being open to connecting, especially like with some new people. You're, willing to explore and see where these relationships can take you. But I think you're doing so from a more discerning space here moving forward. So we love to see the growth. So, for those of you that chose deck number 1, the Crown Charm, for your challenges that lie ahead during, I wanted to say Mercury retrograde, during Venus retrograde, we have the Four of Swords. So, there may be some challenges with communication. Things might slow down, they might get a little bit quiet. It could be other people around you that you're connecting with that might be going a little bit more internal, okay? Because that's ultimately what the retrogrades represent anyway. It's an opportunity for us to kind of reflect, to slow down, to go within, to focus on self-love, these types of things. So you might notice that things kind of become a little more quiet for you here during the retrograde as you're getting ready to like amp up and you want to be outside and you want to be doing all the things. It's like some of the people around you might be in a different energy, okay? And that's okay because it is very natural for people to just get a little bit more quiet during a retrograde because the energy is just way more introspective during retrogrades than when the planets are direct, which the energy then tends to be a bit more externalized. So I'm getting some of you might have like a natal Venus retrograde or Mercury retrograde in your chart. So it might have like the opposite effect for you where like you might be ready to, communicate, make connections, make plans, go out, have the fun, but then you're looking around like, wait, why is everybody else chilling so hard? Okay. So it'll be important for you to not take that personally. Give people their space and their time that they need. But for some of you, you might have an opportunity as well to slow down a bit, to do some reflecting. The Four of Swords does represent healing work. So it's important that you're not avoiding that, which, you know, sometimes, especially with this full energy, this can be someone who moves through situations really quickly and they don't really give themselves enough time to process. So there could be something about you needing to take time to actually process maybe like the ending of a relationship, or, you know, maybe some personal things that are coming up for you with this Venus retrograde, where we do tend to think about the past. We reflect on old relationships, maybe some of those relationships that weren't the best either, because we're trying to learn the lesson, we're trying to gain a sense of mastery over our relationships. So it is going to be an opportunity for you to kind of dig up the past a bit, and to make sure that you really, you know, worked through the emotions of that. Some of you might want to get back into therapy if there's something that is really just, I'm getting some avoidant energy around this, where you're just like, I just don't want to talk about it. I don't want to address it. I just want to move on. I just want to put that behind me. But it's going to find you either way it goes. So it's like you might as well address it head on, especially during this retrograde, then wait until Venus goes direct, and then everything is forward moving, and then all of a sudden, boom, everything hits you and you're feeling like, no, I'm not ready to move forward. So it's okay to like slow down. I think you guys are getting really excited about the future, about, you know, all the possibilities that are available to you. Some of you might be like newly single or something like that, and you're like, I'm trying to be outside with my friends, woo woo. But it's like, have you really healed and processed from the breakup that you went through? Okay. And maybe everybody's not necessarily going to therapy for these things. Maybe you're going to read a self-help book. Maybe you're going to do some journaling. Maybe you're going to talk through your feelings with your friends. Maybe you're going to pray about it, meditate on it. I just saw 1111 on the timer there, so that can be an angel number for you. And I do feel like that is confirmation that yes, you should very much be doing those things. So, you know, try not to avoid the healing that is being encouraged of you at this time. It might seem very tempting to just kind of like, oh, I'm just going to put it behind me and just pretend it didn't happen. Like, no, you actually have to process whatever this is. So speaking of the emotional healing that you're going to be embarking on during Venus retrograde, we have the Six of Swords. So yes, you are meant to be processing some things so you can move on in a healthy way, right? So the Six of Swords is like, all right, this is no longer baggage for me. I'm done with that drama. Like, I've done what I've needed to do to really just like release this without having any ties to me anymore. So I love to see this Six of Swords where you're really prioritizing your peace. But prioritizing your peace doesn't mean being avoidant. And I do feel like in this day of age, it's very common for people to like just be so quick to like, I don't want to talk about that with them. I shouldn't have to talk about that with them. Or, you know, whether it's in relationship with others or even just your own personal process, where it's just like, I don't need to talk about that. Like, I'm just gonna go outside. I'm just gonna go meet somebody new. I'm just gonna replace them. I'm just gonna keep myself busy. And it's like, wait, like, why are you avoiding the deeper emotions that are needing some attention here? So I get some of you might be falling into some avoidant patterns when it comes to your emotions. And it's really important for you to kind of check yourself. And I'm just here serving as a gentle reminder. It's no judgment over here, because I get it. Maybe some of the stuff you've gone through has just been really heavy and you're like, I just am so tired. I don't want to go through the motions of this. And healing doesn't always have to be like super heavy either. It just depends on how you approach it. You don't have to sit around and cry about it if that's not naturally how you feel. Some of you might take up like spending some time in nature, possibly being near a body of water, going near that, maybe doing some reading, some meditating there. Maybe you will find that you kind of want to cry it out. Okay, so go spend time near a lake, a river, the ocean. That can be something that helps you tap into your emotional world a little more easily by connecting with the elements of water. All right, because this is what is needed for your self-love and healing practice here for Venus retrograde, is working through those various emotions that could be coming up with you. I do think at minimum, just getting into a journaling practice could be good. Also, there's like workbooks, like self-help workbooks. I'm looking over at one that I have right now. It's called the Self-Love Workbook for Women. So that might be something worth getting into. If I can remember, I will link this in the description box. And yeah, you can look into that. I also have another workbook that I'm currently working through called the Attachment Theory Workbook. So it addresses some of those avoidance behaviors, anxious behaviors, like more secure behaviors, all of that stuff. So you might want to look into a good workbook that you can like set some intentions to work through it during the Venus retrograde, okay? Which yeah, will essentially be for 6 weeks here, which we have the Six of Swords. So I think that's a really good time to kind of work through some things, all right? So for future insights, providing a glimpse into how your relationships might evolve after the retrograde ends, which is, remember, April 12th, Venus goes direct, okay? So you do have the moon here. This is someone who is way more in tune with their emotional world. I don't know if I'm talking to an air sign potentially. You might have those placements in your chart. But this is also the Pisces card here as well. And Venus will be transiting through Pisces during this retrograde, but also when it goes direct, it will be in Pisces too. So specifically that Venus in Pisces part of the transit is going to be really important for you. You will find yourself just more naturally in tune with your emotions. And that is also going to help you connect to others on a more intimate level here. I mean, sorry, y'all, my phone ran out of storage there. I had to go through and delete some stuff. But as I was saying, this is going to be a time with the moon where you're in touch with your feelings on a deeper level. Even with this Three of Cups, these people, these friends that you could be opening up to, you're finally feeling safer and you're like, let me reveal just what I've been going through in my internal world, just the feelings I've been going through, maybe some relationship stuff that has been coming up for you, some fears, some doubts, some insecurities. You might feel like, wow, I've never been like this vulnerable with people, or it's been a long time since I've been able to open up to people in this way. So that is going to be something that you can look forward to here after this retrograde, that once Venus goes direct, you have some really solid people in your corner that are supporting you, that love you, they care for you, they want to nurture you, and they want to be there to just help you through your process, whatever that might look like. So for those of you, you might have some fears that you're even addressing about your relationship with your mother primarily. If you have found that your mother hasn't always been the greatest sense of emotional support for you, you could be finding like mothering energies through your friend circle, through I'm getting friends more than anything. I'm not seeing too much romance stuff for you. So it might be like a girl group that you're a part of. And you're just like, man, I've never had this type of emotional support in my life. It could even be triggering for your inner child, where you might think of your past and might think of your relationship with your mother and get a little sad, like, dang, like why couldn't I have this kind of connection with my mom? But that's the beauty of relationships, right? And mothering, self-mothering, you know, you could be self-mothering, but also receiving that mothering through other people as well. So you might even be having some major breakthroughs when it comes to healing just some of your inner child wounds. I just saw 222 on the timer, so that is definitely an angel number for you. And the 222 is about leaning into your relationships, right? Knowing that you are supported, and you're definitely going to be feeling that way here. Once I feel like throughout this process, but really when you come out of this and you know you've done the processing you need to do maybe on your own, and then you can finally give voice to the process you've been going through and sharing it with your friends, and they're just going to be like so grateful for you for opening up and letting them in, and they're just gonna, you know, love on you like you deserve to be. So let me pull, I want to pull a self-care card for you to see what you can do in addition to this self-love and healing practice of the Six of Swords, where you are kind of moving away from some things of your past, maybe related to the mother and father, the mother and the father here. This could be you as the child. So definitely getting into that process. All right, so we have connect with fire. So this is one of my favorite things. Do a burning ritual. So write down your feelings on paper, whatever it is you need to get out, and then burn it. All right, let it go. Let it be released into the ethers to be transmuted into whatever it needs to be transmuted into. Okay. But you are going to feel a lot lighter when you go through this process. Ooh, the 1 + 2 is 3, the 3 of Cups. And as you can see, there's a group of women here. So this might be something you want to participate in with your friends. Maybe you guys are going to do a burning ritual, or someone's going to like have a bonfire lit up or something like that. But definitely working with the element of fire. It works quickly, and it's a transmuting element as well. So it can change, you know, some of those heavier energies that you might be feeling into something a lot more light. I just saw 444 on the timer here as well. So that too can be an angel number for you. So I'm going to pull you a self-love affirmation and wrap you up for those of you that chose deck number 1. Especially as we transition into Aries season later on this month, you might feel more drawn to working with the element of fire. Okay, your self-love affirmation is it is okay for me to have fun on my journey. Okay, so I was saying that earlier too, like healing doesn't always have to be like sitting around crying. Okay, healing can be gathering with your friends, you know, like I said, writing some stuff on paper, getting your feelings out there and releasing it, and just feeling the sense of relief in doing so. Healing can be going out, dancing with friends, having drinks, having some good food, just celebrating life, right? So definitely find your balance here during Venus retrograde. I do feel like there needs to be time where you're healing in community, but there could also be time where you're like healing in your own energy as well. So this is really beautiful. I love the self-resilience theme coming through. It seems like you've gone through a lot, and maybe you're going to be sharing a little bit more of your story with the people in your life, and it's going to help them get to know you on a deeper level, and just it's going to help them love you like better ultimately. You know, the more that people learn you, they get to love you better too. So with that being said, pile number 1, I'm going to wrap up this message here. If this resonated at all, please like, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, sending you so much love. Take care. Bye. Hi, pile number 2, deck number 2. I'm using the Our Own Healing Magic deck by Micarelli, in case you are wondering. And this is the Owl Charm. So if this is the charm or deck that you chose, we're going to go ahead and tap in with your Venus retrograde messages. So keep in mind, Venus just went retrograde on March 1st in Aries. It is going to shift into Pisces on March 27th, and Venus will go direct on April the 12th. All right, so just to give you a bit of a timeline. So let me shuffle these cards up, see what we got going on for deck number 2, the Owl Charm. What do we have going on for Venus retrograde? Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and get into it. All right, so let's tap into this spread for deck number 1, the Owl Charm. Your current relationship dynamics are the Magician. So some of you could be over there conjuring up a relationship. Maybe you've recently done some magic here with the new moon in Pisces that we had. This is also the Virgo card too. We are going to have a full moon lunar eclipse in Virgo. That might be significant for some of you as well. But you're in a space where you are open to manifesting a relationship into your life. Now, this doesn't just pertain to romantic partnerships. This can be friendships that you're trying to call into your life. This can be business partnerships, whatever the case may be. So you are in a space where you're open to aligning with people that are on your path, on a similar wavelength to you. I'm seeing some of you maybe giving offerings here. I don't know if you've recently made offerings to your ancestors or any specific spirits that you work with, but you're definitely in this space of just wanting to align with people that are just your kind of people, right? So some of you might have recently gone through some relationship changes. Maybe you have walked away from some relationships. Maybe you've outgrown certain connections, and you're basically kind of over here with a fresh slate here as the Magician, getting ready to call in. Maybe a soul group is something that I'm picking up on here as well. Okay, so very powerful stuff that we got going on for you all. So the lessons from your past for deck number 2, the Owl, we have the Hermit. Okay, so for some of you, maybe you've actually been in a phase of just being solo and to yourself, and this gives me kind of lone wolf vibes. So you might be like, look, I'm trying to attract my tribe, my pack in this case, my mate, whoever it is that you're looking for. But maybe you've realized okay, I've been spending a little too much time by myself, doing my own thing. I mean, winter is that time of year where people typically hibernate a little bit more, so they're not as socially active during this time of year. So maybe you're finally coming out of that winter energy and okay, I think I'm ready to get outside and kind of see what's out there. For some of you, this could be regarding romance, where you've been single and just focusing on your healing and just getting your mind right, your body right, all of the things. So you might be in a space where you're like, okay, I've done enough of the healing work, I've done enough of the releasing here, and it's time for me to connect with other people, to receive nourishment through my connections as well. So anytime Venus is retrograde, it is a time where we're kind of reevaluating the way that we're doing relationships, and you might be realizing like, I've been kind of doing a little too much on my own. Like, it's like, what relationships do I have? Granted, you do have a relationship with yourself, which is your most important relationship. But you might be realizing, like, I want a relationship with more than just me. Like, I want, friends. I maybe want a significant other in my life. Maybe want some people to collaborate with in business or creatively. So you're in that space where you're like, okay, I think I've gone as far as I can on my own. And it's really time for me to find that, sense of community. So these could be the lessons here that you've learned in your past here, that you don't have to do everything by yourself, right? But you may have also realized sometimes we do have to go into that isolation to really get clear on what we value, what it is that we want, who we truly want to align with. Sometimes you have to kind of like detox and get rid of a lot of things before you can make space for whatever the newness is that is to come for you. So maybe I'm getting some of you prayed that prayer, like, God, remove these people from my life that aren't meant to be on my path, whoop-de-woo, people that don't really support me, honor me, value me, respect me, all the things. So you might have like prayed that prayer and boom, God did his thing, and then you was by yourself. Okay. And you might have looked around like, well, God damn, I wasn't expecting for everybody to be gone, but that's how that, like they say, be careful what you wish for. But that prayer is a powerful one for sure. But I think for most of you, it did just clear out the people that didn't need to be there, right? And I'm getting that I heard no bad blood. It doesn't mean that all of those people were shady or malicious or out to harm you. It just could have meant that there was an incompatibility of energies, of personalities, of goals, of values. So it's like, yeah, we're just not on the same wavelength, and it's nothing personal. So that might have been a lesson that you've learned here as of late to deck number 3, or excuse me, deck number 2. So I don't know, there could be some messages in deck number 3 for you as well. So definitely check out that reading also, okay, because there might be something in there for you. All right, so moving on to card number 3, challenges that lie ahead for you. We do have justice coming through, so there could be some challenges when it comes to things just kind of getting into balance for you. Maybe right now, because you are feeling kind of alone and you're just like, damn, when are people going to come into my life? When are things going to feel more balanced in my world? Because you might be feeling like I'm putting a lot of time and energy towards my business, my career, more practical matters, but then I like have no social life. Okay, so you might be feeling like, how am I going to create balance here when it comes to both of these areas of life, right? So we also potentially have some challenges when it comes to this is the karma card, okay? So things are going to be balancing out here. The scales are going to be balancing out for you. And, hopefully you're kind of on the good side of things. If you've been putting, good energy out there, you're typically going to get it in return. But with this coming up in the challenge position, I will say it might feel like something's a little unfair, okay? You know, it might feel like, dang, like, do I deserve to be by myself? Like, what am I doing wrong? And I don't think this is an opportunity to like beat yourself up or anything, but I do think it's an opportunity to hold up the mirror. I just saw 10 minutes, 10 seconds on the screen, so that's an angel number for you. I do think it's an opportunity to really hold up the mirror and to really reevaluate some things, to look at yourself. That's really what any Venus retrograde is about. During the direct transit, we tend to focus that energy more outwardly, but when it is retrograde, it tends to be a more introspective energy, and we're like, okay, maybe I need to reevaluate some things about myself and maybe how I'm going about my relationships. Am I making enough time and space for my relationships? Or, you know, have I been putting a lot of my energy into more practical areas of life, but then, you know, I'm feeling unfulfilled when it comes to my friendships or work partnerships, collaborations, even your family relationships. I am getting like something about like, do I deserve to be alone or feeling lonely? And I don't think that's the case for anyone. Nobody deserves that. But with the Justice card, it's kind of like you get what you give. So you really have to ask yourself, like, what have I been giving, if anything, to these connections? Because remember, connections are a two-way street as well. So we have to give, we have to pour into those relationships, we have to nurture them, we have to show up. We can't just expect people to just always be there readily available for us, but we never really check in on them. We never offer to like spend quality time with them, right? So, you know, especially when you're in hermit mode quite a bit, you tend to be very like focused on your own thing, almost to your detriment at a certain point where it's just like you're forgetting about like other people do exist. Okay. Now, when you are in right relationships with people, they understand that, but you have to communicate that. You can't just expect them to read your mind. So if you fall off the face of the planet and you go into hermit mode and you're expecting everybody to just like understand what you're going through, that's not really fair to the people in your life. You actually do, you know, I do feel like being in relationships with people, we owe them explanations for things. And it doesn't even have to be a detailed explanation. Sometimes it could just be like, yeah, I'm kind of doing my own thing right now. I'm sorry, I might not be as available, you know, and it could be as simple as that. And people will be like, okay, cool. Like, I understand, you know, I'm not going to prod too much. It doesn't seem like you really want to go too deep into it, but I trust that when the time is right, when you feel like you want to come back, then you will. And boom, it's as simple as that. But to drop off the face of the planet for like, I don't know, I'm just going to use 9 months here because on the Hermit, we've got the number 9, to just like, oh yeah, kind of go ghost for 9 months and then expect to just pop back up and everyone's just like, oh yeah, like it's all good. That's kind of having an unrealistic expectation of people, because naturally they're gonna be like, yo, where the fuck have you been? Like, what you have going on? Like, I ain't even think you fucked with me like that. You know, I ain't really heard shit from you in however long. So I will say, if you're feeling a bit isolated, and this isn't me coming down on you, I would just ask that you be really honest with yourself. You know, have you kind of ghosted anyone? Have you kind of went into this hermit mode and did so in a way where you didn't really communicate with others, like, hey, that's what you were doing? Um, and I know, look, some people, they deal with stuff, they're depressed and stuff like that, but like, I'm not speaking to those people. I'm speaking to the people that, you know, aren't dealing with debilitating mental illness and things like that. All right. And sometimes we got to be honest too and admit, like, yeah, maybe I'm just not the best communicator. Maybe I, in some ways, felt like I don't owe people communication. That's fine. And those people don't owe you when it comes to being readily available to just kind of taking you back into the fold either. So that's kind of how karma works too. If you don't feel like you owe people, then they don't feel like they owe you. And I think that is just an interesting space that I see a lot of people in when it comes to relationships. Like, we don't owe people anything. And I honestly think that's bullshit. Like, especially if these are people that you care about, you do owe them something. Because if the shoe was on the other foot, and maybe it wouldn't be about a communication thing for you, but if it was something else that mattered to you, like, you would be in your feelings about it and like, well, they owed me more than that, you know? And it's like, did they? You know, you don't feel like anybody owes you, or you don't owe anybody anything, so why do they feel like they owe you something? So I'm just saying that could be a challenge coming up for you. I've kind of got long-winded with that, but yeah, y'all will work through it. So the emotional healing that you are going to be embracing here during Venus retrograde is the Four of Pentacles. You've been kind of closed off. I'm not gonna hold you. And maybe some of y'all been trying to save money. So you're like, look, sorry, I just haven't been available because my money's been a little funny, and every time we hang out, I feel like I gotta spend my money and da da da, right? That too can be communicated. Like, that's just a human thing. Like, some of you, like, if you're wanting more closeness in your relationships, you have to be more willing to be open. Nobody needs a play-by-play. Like, I don't need to know how much money you have in your bank account, but you could literally let your friends know, like, yo, I'm sorry that I've been MIA, y'all. I've been seeing the invites in the group chat and stuff like that, and I've just kind of been dodging them because I really just don't have money to be hanging out right now. And it could just be as simple as that. And also, when you open up too, who knows? You could have people that are like, oh, no worries, I got you. Come out. Like, I just want to like be around you, and like I just want you to come out and have a good time. Maybe take your mind off of money and stuff like that. Like, I got you. I'll buy you dinner. I'll buy you a drink or something like that. So just be mindful. You might be a little prideful, a little rigid. I'm kind of getting maybe some fixed sign energy coming through. Aquarius, Leo, Scorpio, Taurus. Yeah, and it's just like, open up to people. It's okay. Like, a lot of people are struggling financially. I will say you're probably not the only one. So I think, if you have the right people around you, they'll definitely be understanding of that. They're not going to like kick you down and make you feel worse. More often than not, they're going to like see how they can help, right? Shit, you never know. Somebody could have a damn job opportunity or something for you, but you're not letting people know what's going on in your world to where they would know, like, oh, let me step in. Let me see what I can do for you. Right? Let me put in a job referral for you at my company that I work with. It could be something as simple as that. So yeah, keep in mind, Venus doesn't just have to do with relationship dynamics. It also has to do with money. So for some of you, you might be finding that maybe your money is even a little funny because something is off with your relationships, your connections. And when you kind of open up that energy a bit more, the channel to your relationships, that money could start flowing in for you a little bit more too. So your future insights, this is providing you into a glimpse of how your relationships might evolve after the retrograde ends on April the 12th and moving forward. We have the World, all right? So I love this. This is like a sense of success, victory. But what I notice the most about this card is all of these individuals surrounding her, which I feel like is you. You, him, her, doesn't matter what your gender is. But I feel like you are going to feel a lot more supported the more that you just open up and let people in on what you have going on. You're going to feel a greater sense of community that is around you, supporting you, lifting you up, helping you, nurturing you, all of those things, because you've kind of put your pride to the side. And it's ego. I do feel like it is all ego when people are like, I don't owe you anything. Like, do you know what it means to really care for others? Because if you did, I don't really feel like you would say that. You do owe people like basic respect, like as human beings, So a part of being in relationships that are respectful is communicating with people and not dodging them and avoiding them all the time, or, you know, feeling like, what are they going to be able to do for me? Like, you wouldn't know because you don't ever ask, or you don't even let people know what you have going on. Some of you might be like hyper independent is something that I'm picking up on, and maybe it's because you've been let down a lot in your past. I am getting that energy of like, what are they going to do for me? Because maybe your parents kind of let you down a lot growing up, but these people are not your parents, and it's unfair to treat other people, you know, the way that maybe some unreliable people have been towards you. All right, so I'm getting that there is a lot more support that's available to you. You might have to kind of, you know, do the walk of shame, and I don't think it's even a shameful thing. Like, I ain't got no shame, so I definitely like will pop back up if I ain't talked to you in 9 months. Yo, my bad. Yeah, so I've been going through it. I ain't even gonna lie. I'm sorry I have not been available. This is kind of what's been going on. You know, it was nothing personal. I hope you can understand and forgive me. You know, it's really as simple as that. You know, I think people even overthink just the power of a simple apology, a simple acknowledgement of, you know, maybe someone else's perspective on a situation where maybe, you know, they were kind of taking things personally, and they might have felt like, damn, well, I guess she just don't fuck with me. I don't ever hear from her, but I'm gonna just leave her to herself because that's where she seems to be, like to be. So yeah, like, it's okay, y'all. Connect with your people, right? And I think Venus retrograde, especially during the Aries part of the transit, is going to highlight those hyper independent behaviors that kind of keep us from relying on others, being in connection with others. So for your self-care, in addition to you needing to open up, and I will say, you know, monetarily, you still might have to kind of be a little more frugal here during the retrograde. But we have sync with the moon, okay? Some of you could be like Cancer. You could be a moody mama. And sometimes just explain that to people, because then you have less explaining to do when your moods change. Like, when people are aware, like, yeah, my friend, she just moody as a motherfucker. Like, they ain't gonna be as pressed. And they might even check in on you a little more. Like, yo, you good? Just wanted to see how you're feeling. It's cool if you don't want to talk, but I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you. Like, that type of thing. I just want to let you know I'm here for you if you need anything, all right? So I might be talking to a moody mama out there. Look, and Capricorn, maybe y'all are the opposite of Cancer, and people be really overlooking how Capricorn, y'all, they be in a mood, okay? Be somber as a motherfucker, like, and sometimes be needing people to, like, here, let me snap you out of that, all right? This is Capricorn energy too. Capricorn and those fixed signs that I was mentioning. But we also have 2 Virgo cards on the table and Libra. So, you know, you can have those placements in your chart. Let's see what your affirmation is. I'm going to take this one. I'll take both. They both fell out. So we have self-care. I consciously take care of my body. It is the vehicle to my dreams, okay? So eat right, drink water, exercise, get enough sleep, do all the things that you need to accomplish your goals, your dreams. And we also have, I make choices that I am proud of, right? So when the Justice card comes in as your challenge, it might point out some choices that you have been making that you might not be so proud of, okay? Don't cower away, okay? Because that is the sign of kind of being a coward. And I don't feel like I'm talking to anybody that is a coward. Instead, you want to just own up to it, take it on the chin, like, okay, that wasn't my proudest moment, but I'm going to acknowledge that. I'm going to hold myself accountable. I'm going to apologize where I need to, and I'm going to make some different choices moving forward. So it's not about beating yourself up or anything. There's a difference between doing that and holding yourself accountable. And I do think there is going to be a little bit of accountability that's coming into play here. Especially there could be something significant about the full moon in Libra that we have, which I think is on April 12th, if I'm not mistaken. April 12th or the 13th. So there could be something significant about that too. But all right, my loves, with that being said, I'm going to wrap up this part of the reading. For those of you that chose deck number 2, I hope you received the insight, clarity, and guidance you were seeking for this Venus retrograde. I am wishing you the very best with everything. Sending you so much love. Take care. Bye. All right, deck number 3. I'm using the Tattoo Tarot. If you chose the little t-shirt with the charm on it, or the heart on it, then this is your reading. We're going to get into this for Venus retrograde messages, see what you guys can expect here during this transit. So just to give you a bit of a timeline here, we had Venus go retrograde in the sign of Aries on March the 1st. On March 27th, Venus will retrograde into Pisces, and then on April the 12th, Venus will go direct. Okay, so just to give you a little time frame here. But let's go ahead and dive into this for those of you that chose deck number 3. All right, so let me lay the cards out here. I'll keep that. We'll get into some reversals today because, yeah, some of them actually came out reversed. I was trying to make sure my deck just wasn't upside down, but it wasn't. So we'll read the reversals today. So your current relationship dynamic, for those of you that chose deck number 3, we have the 4 of Swords in the reverse. Okay, so you could be coming out of a space, of not communicating. If you've been just a little more introspective than usual, you might be feeling like, okay, it's time for me to get back into the world. Some of you could have been doing some healing work here recently, maybe getting into therapy, reading self-help books, meditating, praying, journaling, doing all of those things. All right. But with this coming up in the reverse, you might be at a point where you're like, okay, I think I'm ready to kind of come up out of this and, get back into the world. I get that you've been integrating a lot of information, wisdom here, and just like overall healing energies. I'm picking up on Reiki too. I don't know if you're a Reiki practitioner or you have like received some sort of Reiki healing recently, but it is like definitely working, whatever it is you've been doing, because now you're ready to kind of go into the world just feeling more energetically balanced here. Now, I don't know if you might personally have Venus retrograde in your natal chart. That could be a thing here where you're almost having the opposite effect of how most people will navigate the retrograde, at least those people that have Venus direct in their natal chart. So instead of just going more inwards, you've already been kind of in this space, possibly during the pre-shadow phase of Venus retrograde. So now you're like, okay, I'm ready to like pop out. I'm ready to communicate. There could be some things you're wanting to get off your chest, whatever it is you've been processing behind the scenes. You might be ready to like, you know, open up about some of these things. But yeah, you're like in a different energy right now, coming out of this hibernation mode. I know here in Georgia, we've kind of had a bit of an earlier spring. So maybe the weather is really nice where you're at right now, too. And you're just like, yeah, I just want to get outside, feel the sun on my skin. I want to connect with others, you know, all of that stuff. And maybe even share some of your experiences and the things you've learned in hopes of helping others to possibly heal as well. So that could be something that you will naturally be doing. There could be something very inspirational just about the journey that you've been on internally that can really motivate others to maybe go through this process themselves. So we love to see that. Lessons from the past, for those of you that chose deck number 2, we have the Chariot here. So I heard we can't go forward until we go within. So there is going to be like a major push of momentum here. Sorry if you can hear the wind outside. It's getting kind of crazy. Hopefully the power doesn't go out. But I just heard like a huge gust of wind come through. It almost looks like that's what this is around him. Like, because the Chariot is someone who's just like driving forward nonstop, and almost like picking up wind and dust all around them and stuff like that. So I don't know, you could be like popping out, busting out like in this energy here as well. But I'm getting, like I was saying, you can't go forward until you go within. So it's kind of making me think of like a slingshot. It's like you have to kind of draw your energy back before you can propel forward. And that's literally what you've been doing here, maybe for like the past 4 weeks, maybe even 4 months on the longer end of the spectrum. And now you're getting ready to propel forward, kind of like a slingshot or something like that. So is that a place? I think it is, here in Atlanta. It's like a gaming place, if I'm not mistaken. Let me look it up because I'm pretty sure I went before. I love gaming places. Yeah, Slingshot Social Game Club. I'm not sure if you've ever been there, but yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's something you're going to be going to here to socialize. Essentially, you know, Venus is about relationships and, you know, kind of connecting with others there. So there could be something about you getting out, meeting some people, friends, or going on a date or something like that. But even if you're not going to this specific location, I'm still just getting that analogy of the slingshot coming through. So you're definitely getting ready to kind of catapult forward. That's what you've learned from your past. Like, that is the way to experience the most growth, is to, you know, do the inner growth as well, right? It's the inner growth that supports the outer growth, is what you've been learning here. You've also been learning, you know, how to just have a more victorious mindset here as well. Maybe there has been something about your mindset that has been kind of feeling like you've been taking a lot of L's or something like that. So I don't know if you've had some just major losses in your life here as of late. But this Chariot card is here to teach you, like, yeah, you don't stay down for too long. Like, we all have to take some L's at some point, but, you know, don't let them necessarily define your whole experience. Or if anything, don't let them define your identity. I think that's more so where you're coming from with this. Like, okay, I might take some L's, but I'm not a fucking loser, all right? Because that's one thing about the Chariot card. This is someone who's a winner. This is someone who is victorious. So this could be like the mindset that you have been really working on developing. Like, I can do anything, I can accomplish challenges, I can overcome hard things. Yeah, you know, maybe you have been someone that has gotten kind of defeated when challenges come up and you're just like, you know, fine, I'll just throw in a towel or whatever. But you're not meant to do that. You're meant to dig in your heels. You're meant to continue moving forward, especially with Venus in Aries. Aries is like a go-getter. They're a fighter, you know, they are the warrior of the zodiac. So they don't give up so easily. So there could be something about you kind of embodying more of this Aries archetype where you too are not giving up so easily. I could be talking to a Cancer with the Chariot card here. Yeah, that's the only zodiac sign that I'm seeing on the table. So you could have Cancer placements in your chart somewhere. Now, the challenges that lie ahead for you during this Venus retrograde for you is going to be the Eight of Coins. So that's being disciplined, you know, showing up day after day. Even when you're not experiencing the most growth or progress, it's still choosing to show up because you know, like later down the line, you are going to experience that growth, that momentum. So I think that's going to be the challenge for you, is like keeping the momentum with whatever this is you're working on. For you guys, to be honest, I don't see it so much as like relationship stuff. There could be a project you're working on, some work goals, financial goals. Keep in mind, Venus is not just about relationships, it's about money too. And you do have the Eight of Coins here. So it could be something about your money that you're more focused on. You're trying to get a little bit more disciplined when it comes to maybe your schedule, your work schedule. You know, you might have a business or something like that. There's something you're trying to build up for yourself, and you're just needing to have that sense of resilience and like, I'm not giving up until I reach my goals. So like I said, dig in your heels. Know that you are meant to be successful. You're meant to be victorious. You're meant to achieve whatever this goal is for you. So, you know, this could at certain points come up as a challenge for you where you're feeling like, oh, I'm just not feeling it today. I think I'll take a day off. But then, you know, sometimes that day off can become like, oh, 2, 3, 4 days off. I'm getting working out for some of you too. When we're talking about the coins element, we're talking about the physical realm, also the physical body. So I don't know if you've gotten back into like working out or something. This could be something that's been helpful for your mental health. So yeah, you want to stay disciplined with whatever it is you've been doing here. Try not to fall off. You know, sure, I don't think it's a problem with taking a break sometimes, but just be mindful of that break turning into an elongated period of time where you're not putting in any effort, you're not taking action towards your goals. All right, so that's going to be really important here for you to remember as you navigate this Venus retrograde. For your emotional healing for Venus retrograde, this is offering guidance on self-love and healing practices that can support you. We do have the Three of Cups in the reverse. For some of you, this could be about like overindulging. I don't know if you've cut out drinking, or maybe you have kind of reeled it in with the socializing, especially if you've noticed like every time I go out and socialize, like I'm drinking, I'm eating like, you know, a lot of carbs, a lot of sugars, or just like eating more than I typically would because I'm drinking and having a good time. And I'm just like not even noticing how much money that I'm spending, how much I'm consuming here. So there could be an element of that coming through. Some of you might be like emotional eaters. Or emotional spenders as well. Like when maybe you're a little stressed out or just going through some things emotionally, you might be the type like, look, like, hey friends, let's go out. Drinks on me. I'm buying everybody rounds of shots and and I'm ordering everything on the fucking menu and you know, all of that stuff. So you might want to be a little bit more mindful of some of those habits that may be a bit counterproductive to, especially if you've got like a fitness goal, you're trying to get back into a routine with that. Now, once again, I don't think there's anything wrong with indulging from time to time. So maybe putting a limit on it, like, okay, once a month, I'm gonna go out, and have some drinks or, have me a nice meal. But, also maybe put yourself on a budget. Like, okay, I'm only gonna spend this amount of money when I go out. I'm only gonna have like 2 drinks or something like that instead of like 6. You might be look, you might be in there throwing them drinks back, okay? But yeah, like, I think it's okay to practice a little bit of moderation, and also to make sure too, those times when you are wanting to get out, you might need to check in with yourself and ask yourself, like, okay, am I going through something emotionally that I'm trying to kind of self-soothe in this way? Are there other ways that I can self-soothe whatever it is that I'm dealing with at this time? Okay, because especially with Venus in Aries, this is going to be a transit that highlights how we love ourselves. Aries is the sign of self. So this is very much a self-love transit. And you might be realizing, like, ooh, yeah, I do have some of those tendencies, when I'm feeling emotionally charged or whatever. Like, I tend to overconsume. I tend to indulge a little bit too much. So it's about being more mindful of your emotions, and instead of overdoing it at the bar, it's like, let me go overdo it in the gym instead. Okay, that's one thing about Aries too, is it's a very physical zodiac sign, very much associated with like athletics and working out and stuff like that. So get into a practice like that. Some of you, you might be runners, or you might be even like on the treadmill. You don't have to be like running around like on the street or around your neighborhood or anything like that. You might hop on the treadmill and run a few miles or something next time you're feeling emotionally overwhelmed, and then see how you feel then. You might notice after that, like, oh, I don't even want to drink anymore. So that could be a good practice to get into for you. Okay, for future insights, this is providing a glimpse into how your relationships might evolve after the retrograde ends on April the 12th and moving forward. So we do have the 8 of Swords. So this is kind of more of a self card here too. To be honest, I don't really see a ton of relationship cards for you, because even with the 3 of Cups, it is a more sociable card. But with it coming up in the reverse, I see that you might be maybe trying to rely a little bit more on yourself when it comes to soothing. It goes back to self-soothing, because you might even be leaning a little bit too much on your relationships, like as distractions from just processing your emotions and stuff like that. So I do think moving forward into the future with the 8 of Swords coming through, you're not going to be feeling like your emotions are just like so overwhelming to where they are a prison. Okay, and it's like, oh, I gotta escape from this prison, I gotta escape from these feelings. So usually I do that by like going to the bar and having a good time and buying all these drinks and eating all this food. That's kind of my way to escape from all of the uncomfortable emotions that I might be experiencing. And with this 8 of Swords, it's like, I'm not doing that. I don't need to escape from anything. Maybe I do need to just sit and feel the emotions and be a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe I do need to just find some better, healthier practices to really process my emotions. So I do see you doing that here. Once Venus goes direct, this is kind of like a habit that you're definitely going to be getting yourself into, something to be proud of here as well. So I'm going to get an additional self-care card from the Self-Care Oracle. We'll see what's coming out for those of you that chose deck number 3. Deck number 3, self-care for Venus retrograde. Look at that. That's so funny. We have dance. So that can be a part of your working out, right? Is moving that body. And for some of you, this might be taking a dance class, all right? I do feel like movement is a beautiful way to, take care of our body and even our emotions, our mental well-being as well. You can kind of just get lost in the music and the rhythms. You're more present with your body as you're dancing. So yes, I do love that for you. Some of you could definitely be thinking about signing up for a class or something like that. But this could be something you do from the comfort of your home as well. You don't necessarily have to pay to go dance and move your body. Just maybe make you a little playlist or something of your favorite songs. And yeah, especially when you get emotionally riled up and stuff like that, you should probably have like a playlist on hand. And that's your like dance it out playlist. When you've had a really bad day, you've had a really weird interaction with someone, you're like, okay, I'm gonna go home, put my little playlist on, and I'm just gonna dance it out. Okay, might even dance it out with friends. Hey friends, you want to come over? Like, maybe we all have kind of been going through it and we need to just move our bodies a little bit. Okay, so let's see what your self-love affirmation is. We have, I choose to make my world and life an amazing place to live in. Okay, so I do love that. This is about your self narrative. This goes back to like, I am not a loser. I am not a victim. I have the power to create the life that I want. I am a winner in life. I am successful. I can do difficult things. Yeah, I can overcome obstacles in my life, all of those things. All right, so definitely affirm that over yourself. Very beautiful reading that we have for those of you that chose deck number 3. I'm going to wrap up the message here. If this resonates at all, please leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and until next time, sending you so much love. Take care. Bye. All right, deck number 4. Let's tap in. If you chose this looks like a black 4-leaf clover. Okay, if you chose this is your deck. I don't know if someone's like Black Irish or you got some roots there or something like that, but we're gonna tap in. Okay, see what's going on for your Venus retrograde messages. Keep in mind, Venus, it did go retrograde on March the 1st in the sign of Aries. It will then dip into Pisces on March 27th, and then on April 12th Venus will be going direct. Okay, so let's tap in, see what's going on for those of you that chose deck number 4 for your Venus retrograde message here. Everybody is getting this 4 of Swords. Like, I think at least 2 other decks got this, and I'm using different decks for everybody, and I think at least 2 of the other ones got the 4 of Swords too. So you are getting that as well. Maybe you felt called to choosing more than one deck, so definitely check out the other one if you do feel called to do so. All right, so for your current relationship dynamics, we have the 4 of Swords. You're kind of taking a step back from things. You're really focusing on yourself. I feel like this is why this card keeps coming out, though, because when Venus is transiting through Aries, Aries is the sign of the self. So this is kind of more of a self-love transit when we really think about it. Even looking at your spread, we don't have like too many relationship cards going on here. So this may be a time where you are just kind of doing your own thing. You're retreating when it comes to your energy. You're healing. You're resting a lot. You're meditating, reflecting. There could be, something that you're healing on an emotional level, because she's got this little heart here in this nest. I don't know if some of you are nesting, like if you're pregnant or something like that, congratulations. But even if you're not pregnant, there could be something that you are just trying to heal when it comes to your heart space. And this can be regarding any kinds of relationships when we're talking about Venus. So it can be romantic, it can be friendship, it can be family relationships, whatever, okay? But yes, this is where you're at with your current relationship dynamics. You're like, I'm good with my people or whatever. They know I love them, but I kind of need to do my own thing right now. So definitely take that time for you, especially maybe over the next 4 weeks. You might find that you're not as interactive. Maybe you're wanting to do things a little more solo over the course of the next 4 weeks, and that's totally fine. Take the time and space that you need for yourself. Maybe go on a little solo adventure. For some of you, you're like, I ain't trying to take no adventure. I'm just trying to sleep. Okay. So this could have a lot to do with Mars still being in Cancer, just dragging. Oh my God, it's been in Cancer since like last fall, and I'm so over it. Been going through my Mars return here, and I'm just like, would you just get out of Cancer, please, for the love of fucking God? So some of you might be feeling the energy of Mars still being in Cancer. At least it's not retrograde, it is direct, but I mean, we still are in a post shadow phase there. So if you're noticing that your energy levels are not as high as you would like them to be, we can still blame it on Mars and Cancer. We can still blame it on that shit. And now on top of that, we got Venus retrograde. We finna have Mercury retrograde. So yeah, we just getting all the retrogrades. Unfortunately, this year we didn't get like a phase with all of the planets direct that we usually get like in January, February time frame. Yeah, we didn't get that this year. So we've just been in the thick of retrogrades since the beginning of the year. So I mean, hey, I guess that's the way the cosmos is telling us all to just sit the fuck down and rest and reflect, review things, all of that stuff. All right. So maybe some of you are, reviewing your relationships and reassessing like which relationships really feed into your heart. Okay. Which relationships really nurture you on that heart level. So that could be something that you are considering here. Now, moving into lessons from the past, reflecting on past relationships or experiences that may influence your current situation. It may even reveal what you need to unlearn here. So your lesson from the past here is the Page of Swords. I'm doing your research a little bit more, maybe before like jumping into relationships. This is going to be someone who like vets people. I'm not going to lie, the Page of Swords is kind of like the spy. So they're all up on someone's social media. They're really getting a feel for like, okay, what is this person's thought process like? Like, what are they into? What do they value? What is this person kind of telling me about themselves through their social media? Granted, you can only kind of get a little bit of, understanding of somebody on social media because I feel like that's just one side of them. But it's a start at least. So some of you might be going through that process a little bit more when it comes to relationships. Remember, it could be of all kinds, where you're like, I really got to see, like, is this person even on my wavelength? That type of situation. But this can also be getting to know people more, through conversation as well. The Page of Swords is a communicator, ultimately. I'm also getting something about you being an open book. All right. Maybe this has been a lesson learned from your past to maybe not be as much of an open book. I can't remember which deck got that message. I think it was deck number 1. So there could be some like cross referencing messages going on between deck number 1 and deck number 4. But yeah, for some of you, maybe you realize like, maybe there was just certain people that I was just a little too trusting with. And it might just be because you are like super authentic or whatever. And you're just like, this is just how I roll. Like, I don't really hide who I am. I'm very like take it or leave it. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But you might have learned like, well, maybe I did share a little bit too much with that person. Maybe they didn't really prove to me that they were going to even be sticking around in my life long enough for me to reveal certain things to them, okay? So it can be a situation like that, because the Page of Swords, they're a little bit on the childish side of things. And you know, just children in general, they can be very trusting. So it does seem like maybe you've recognized, like, maybe I have been a little too green when it comes to certain situations that I read a little too much into. Like, I really thought this person like was vibing with me romantically or friendship wise, but it wasn't as deep for them as it was for me. And then I'm over here telling them all my secrets and shit like that, and like they wasn't even looking at me like they was finna be sticking around in my life. So I heard passing time. They might have just been, you know, trying to pass the time with me because they was bored or some shit. But you might not have recognized that, being the Page of Swords. Sometimes they sometimes got their little head in the clouds and they're not really seeing things accurately. So I think this was just a lesson learned here. Also with the little birdies there, you might have learned, like, people be talking a lot. People be gossiping and shit like that, you know. They be taking back your information and letting their little friend know. And you just like, okay, that kind of sucked. I don't know if something got back to you where you like, some information got back to you that you had shared with someone, and you like, wait, how the fuck do you know this? I didn't tell you this. And then you just kind of put two and two together. Oh, but I did tell your friend this. I thought they was my friend, but I guess they more of your friend. And you know, some people you deal with, they just a gossiping ass motherfucker. It just is what it is. That is who the Page of Swords is. You know, they can be someone that gossips. So this might be a lesson that you've learned in the past, like let me really get a better feel for people to understand if I can even trust them with certain information, that they're not going to go run behind my back and go share my personal details of my life like this is goddamn TMZ or some shit. So that might have been something that you kind of had to learn here as well. So the challenges that lie ahead for you during this Venus retrograde is the moon. Speaking of secrets, okay? So it might be kind of keeping things a little closer to your chest. And it could be because, like I was saying, you are an open book kind of person. But everybody doesn't deserve to get to read your story, your memoir, or whatever you want to call it, okay? So some of you are going to need to practice a little bit more discretion here. This could even be on social media. Some of you might deal with like a lot of parasocial relationships where people feel like they fucking know you, and it's because of like how much you share on social media. And if you kind of pull back a little more, share a little less, you might find that you're dealing with less of those parasocial relationships too, where, you know, people be thinking y'all best friends or some shit. And I'm like, bitch, I don't even fucking know you. Like, I ain't never met you a day in my life. Like, we just follow each other on social media. So I'm getting something like that coming through here as well, okay? That might be something you're a little more cautious of too, is maybe starting relationships with people from social media, because that's what I was saying, like, people only kind of see one side of you, if anything, from social media. They don't really get the whole picture. So I don't know, it's like when you do connect with these persons outside, these people outside of social media, they almost might even be a little like disappointed, like, oh, you're not who you were like on social media. And it's not to say you're putting up a front or anything, but you know, maybe you're a lot more dynamic on social media, maybe you're a lot more charismatic on social media, but like when you're not in those spaces, maybe you're a little more low-key. You're kind of chill, you're maybe a bit more reserved, and people are like, whoa, like, who's this? Okay, so there could be something about that coming through for you. You might be someone that has like a very kind of dualistic nature about you, especially with the black and the white wolf here. So you might have Pisces or Gemini placements in your chart. And yeah, people typically might see just like one side of you, but they don't recognize that, yeah, you kind of got two sides of you. But unfortunately, you've dealt with people that, like, I only want to deal with your one side. I don't really want to deal with both sides of you, which isn't fair to you. You deserve to have people that, want you in their life for your whole self and not just a part of yourself. So that could be something that you are having to navigate here. Like, all right, maybe, like I said, sharing a little bit less, or yeah, just kind of keeping certain things close to your chest here. For some of you, this might be a bit of an emotional time for you, especially around the full moon lunar total eclipse that we have next Friday. So just keep in mind, that energy can be prevalent right now. You might already be feeling into the emotions of this upcoming full moon because it is a lunar eclipse. You can feel the energy a lot earlier. So if you notice, like, yeah, I'm feeling a little more sensitive right now, maybe it's a good time to just kind of keep to yourself, okay? Because sometimes with that moon energy, people can kind of lash out, and they just be doing the most because they in their feelings and shit, and you don't want to be that person, okay? So as far as your emotional healing for this Venus retrograde, offering you guidance on self-love and healing, we have 7 of Wands. So boundaries, that's what I was saying. Motherfuckers don't know you. I just saw 1414 on the screen. So it's something about you and your online presence. I think people spy on you a lot. They really be like clocking you online for whatever reason. I don't know. You could be a social media influencer. You could have an online business or something like that. So people are always wanting to kind of pick your brain and see what you got going on. Like, yeah, and always got an opinion or some shit. And honestly, fuck them. Nobody cares about their opinion, because if you cared, you would have asked them and you didn't. So we have the 7 of Wands here coming up as your self-love is boundaries. You have like energy vampires, people that it is something about your internet presence that's like very dynamic. It's bright, it's warm, it's like, ooh, look at them. But you have people that also, they try you. They do try you with the 7 of Wands. This is a crabs in a bucket mentality. So people see that, oh, you're doing well for yourself. I just saw 15 on the screen. That can be an angel number for you. But like, oh yeah, you're doing well for yourself. Or I see this person, they've got a lot of followers, and they got a really good platform. I'm gonna just go mess with them. I'm gonna just go antagonize them, and I'm gonna sub tweet them and throw shade, and do this, do that. You could be dealing with a lot of trolls and shit like that. Protect your fucking energy, all right? Some of y'all might be going real quiet on motherfuckers. They finna be looking like, where you go? Shit, you used to be online all the time, and now you ain't really on there no more. Because you over here protecting your motherfucking energy and protecting your heart as well. Because at the end of the day, some of these people forget you're a person. You're not just like a social media presence, which it can kind of objectify you and take the humanity out of who you are. So people be thinking like, oh man, I could just come at you any kind of way or whatever, because you're not even real. You're not even a real person. You're just a social media influencer. And a lot of people, they have this idea about like social media influencers and stuff like, oh, whatever, like, fuck you. You don't have feelings. You're not a human like me, because you're on this pedestal unlike me. So, you must be untouchable or unbreakable, unshakable. And it's like, no, like, I have feelings too. So yeah, I'm getting like, you're kind of putting yourself in this little protective bubble here. Just remember, these motherfuckers are miserable. This is very much crabs in a bucket mentality. They're all scrambling for maybe the attention that you get so easily by just kind of showing up and doing your thing. Whereas they have to kind of tear people down and throw shade and, just do a lot of goofy shit to get attention, where all you have to do is just shine your light and you get attention. All you got to do is just show up and be yourself and you get attention. So unfortunately, everybody ain't got it like that. Some people got to go through the antics just to get a fucking follow or some shit. And it's like, you ain't even got to do that. Okay. For future insights, A glimpse into how your relationships might evolve after the retrograde ends. We do have the Page of Pentacles. I do like this. This is like more solid connections that could be coming through for you. You might also have like some business partnerships or opportunities, financial opportunities that come out of this. Keep in mind, Venus doesn't just rule over relationships, she also governs money. All right, so some of you could definitely be having some opportunities come in for you once Venus goes direct here. You might be starting a new job. You might be, starting a new business, whatever this is with this Page of Pentacles. For some of you, this can just be a different approach here that you're taking when it comes to relationships in general, where you're, a little more grounded in the way that you're getting to know people, because you might be someone that gets very excitable, and you might have a hard time discerning between people that are kind of like fans, but I'm also getting frenemies. I'm getting ops, like, people that smile in your face and act like they fuck with you, but they really over here antagonizing you, trolling you and shit like that. Like, you like, I ain't got time for the bullshit, okay? So you are moving into more stable ground here with the Page of Pentacles. I do feel like with some people or a specific person, maybe an earth sign, Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, just more solid people at the end of the day, where it's like you ain't really got to worry about them doing the little shady shit, because they got their own business to worry about too, and so they ain't over here trying to tear somebody else down. So let's see what we have for your self-care for Venus retrograde. We have pleasure. Get into it, okay? So some of y'all could be getting into some self-pleasure here. Aries is associated with like the libido there also. So maybe you're going to be feeling a little more hot and heavy, okay? So do what you need to do to take care of yourself for sure. Maybe you working with your little toys. If you don't have any toys, maybe you're going to go to like the sex shop or something like that. See if you can find yourself something. But yeah, I'm definitely getting strong self-pleasure. Like I said, I don't see too much relationship mingling. You're in a space where you're really protecting your energy right now. And that could even be your sexual energy too. You're like, nope, you don't get to touch. Maybe you can look, but you can't touch. And you can look just as far as whatever I'm posting on social media. You ain't even looking at my naked body in person. You ain't getting no nudes. You ain't getting none of that shit. That is hilarious. Let's see what your affirmation is here for Venus retrograde. For those of you that chose deck number 4. Oh, damn it. This is a lot. Fine, I'll take them. It's a lot. So we have self-forgiveness. There are no mistakes in life. I did what I felt was best in the moment. So this could be what you're working on here. Maybe self-forgiveness for being a little too open with certain people, being a little too friendly, not being able to tell like who's really a friend, frenemy, op, troll. Like, I'm getting that type of vibe. We have self-care. I am willing to do the hard things. There is joy on the other side. Yes. So, willing to do the hard things, or maybe keeping certain things to yourself, vetting people a little bit more before you can be the open book that you are. And have those connections that you can truly trust, and you won't have to worry about being open with them, because you can trust them. We have self-image. I allow myself to love who I am now, not who I think I should be. So some of you might need to get into some mirror work. Look at yourself in the mirror, tell yourself how beautiful you are. Compliment your features, all of the things. And then we have self-resilience. It is okay for me to have fun on my journey. So I think that's where that pleasure comes in too. Like, you don't have to be out here completely denying yourself of a good time, even if you are a little bit more focused on yourself. So the way that you get to, have that fun is through self-pleasure. And, you know, you are going to come out of this space of feeling like you have to protect yourself from everyone, because I do feel like there are solid people, if not already around you. There will be more solid people that you're going to be interacting with once Venus goes direct here. So very beautiful messages that we have for those of you that chose deck number 4 here. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap it up. If this resonates at all, please like, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And until next time, sending you so much love. Take care. Bye.